we're going to do pregnancy flow. With pregnancy, the main thing is you want to make sure you're being mindful of, obviously, abdominal region. You can still do a lot of the postures, and you can do twisting postures too. Again, you just really need to be mindful of how you're feeling, going very slowly as you're moving in and out of postures so that you don't overstrain any areas or overstretch them. You also, especially when you get into that second and third trimester, want to make sure when you are twisting and moving that you keep this mid section, lower lumbar, stationary. Don't move it, especially in your twisting postures. So the twist needs to be thoracic, rib cage up. Making sure that when you are twisting again, moving very slow in and out. You can make this flow be as long or as short as you want. It really just depends on how many breaths that you take as you're in each posture. And moving through the warm-up, how long you want to take stretching each part of the body. So if you don't have a lot of time, you could make this probably 10-15 minute practice. And if you want a nice slow, really getting into the other muscles more deeply, then you can stretch it out to about 30 minutes if you take each one nice and slow and be in them for several breaths. I will say, and this is totally optional, but my opinion, ending a practice always with some form of relaxation, Shavasana, is highly recommended. It just acts as a way to kind of seal that practice for yourself and really ground yourself, especially when you're pregnant and after you've had the baby postpartum as well, because you can do this flow also postpartum. But Shavasana will definitely be a much needed friend. And again, same with, the flow itself. You can make it as long or as short as you want. At least be in Shavasana for 2 to 3 minutes, but you can stretch it out to 15 to 20 if you want, if your body is really needing it. So we're going to get started. I'm going to come onto my shins. You want to also make sure, if possible, you have your props handy, especially when you're pregnant. The body may need some extra support in certain positions, especially the further along that you are. So having some straps, a couple blocks, a couple firm blankets. I don't have the blankets with me, but you should have some with you, and a couple bolsters. If you don't have bolsters, you can use, again, some firm blankets or very firm pillows to support you. Okay, so we're going to start on the shins. And you just really want to center. If it doesn't feel good to be on the shins in any part of this flow, you can take a block and place it behind you so that you're sitting on it, and just kind of move the calf out of the way to draw them in so that you're elevated. You can do this with blankets as well. You don't have to be on a block. So we're just going to center. Draw the shoulder blades back towards one another. Eyes are opened or closed. And just bring that awareness to your breath. If you want also, you can play some music of your own. I don't have any playing, so feel free to choose whatever you're drawn to each time that you are practicing. Eyes can stay closed for the warm-up if you want. On the exhale, drop the left ear towards your left shoulder. Just allow the ear to fall to the shoulder. Don't bring the shoulder up to the ear. If you want to deepen that stretch, right fingertips can go to the floor. Give yourself that time to be in each movement. taking a breath. Inhale, center. Exhale, lowering the opposite ear. Again, let that ear fall. Don't bring the shoulder up. Extending the left fingertips if that feels good. Inhale, center. Inhale, reach the arms overhead. Interlace the fingers. Turn the palms up towards the ceiling. Just a gentle stretch. You're not creating a lot of lift and lengthening through this abdominal region. You're just allowing the spine to lengthen slightly. And release. Take the hands back down. We're going to come into table. So coming onto the hands and knees. If you don't have a thick mat, mine's pretty thick, you'll want to open up a blanket, a folded blanket, and place it under the knees, just to kind of give you a little bit more support. So, coming into table, fingers are spread nice and wide. You want the body to be supported. Some space between the knees. That wrist should align with the shoulder. That will keep you from having any injuries or uncomfortableness down the road. So we don't want the hands out like this. We want them lining up. Stay lifted out of your wrists. Don't sink down. Spine is long. And we're going to move through cat and cow. So again, depending on how far along you are, you may not want to come fully into cow because you would be overstretching the belly. But cat often feels really good, and you can take that as deeply as you would like. On the exhale, round the spine, draw that chin towards the sternum. Inhale, coming back through to table, and this may be where you want to stay. You may not want to arch the back at all. You can come right back to table. If you are in table and you don't want to arch the back, you can still lift the head. Flow through this a few times. Exhale to cat. Connect that breath with the movement. Inhale to table or cow. Exhale, cat. Inhale, table or cow. Come back to a neutral spine, sliding the hands out slightly. We're going to take the hips in a circular motion. If this doesn't feel good, don't do it. And reverse. Coming back to center. We're going to stretch through the wrists and the forearms. I'm going to turn this way so you can see me. You can stay where you are. This is a really nice stretch. A lot of times, most of us are on technology, computers, and at desks. And we don't really give our hands and wrists the care they need, especially if you're going to be expecting. You want your hands to be healthy. You want those wrists to be healthy to be able to pick up and hold and support your baby. And as you get older, it's good to do these because it can help with joint issues. So again, you're in table. We're going to start to walk the hands away from one another. Continue that rotation to where it feels good for you. Everyone has different mobility. So if the hand is here, that's okay. You're still, as long as you're feeling that stretch, doesn't matter how far you're turning them. And you definitely don't want to overstretch. Holding here for as many breaths as you like. And then taking those fingers back around. Draw them in towards one another. So this will take that stretch up into that shoulder area a little bit. Again, you can hold here for as many breaths as you want. Take those fingers back around. So you're back where you started. We're going to do one hand at a time. Turn that left palm up. Fingers are facing you, pressing gently on the back of the hand. flip that left palm over. Right palm turns up, gently pressing. Be mindful of all those little bones in the wrist. And release. Go ahead and sit back on the heels. Lift both hands and rotate through the wrists. And reverse. We're going to come back into table and you're going to tuck the toes. This is a pretty intense stretch. So toes are going to tuck back, both feet, and you're going to push back. You can stay on the hands. Again, we don't give the feet, ankles, toes the attention that they need, and they support us all day, every day. So starting to do this toe stretch is good for the health of our feet and coming up into those ankles and even into the back of the calves. If you want to deepen this, you can come up onto the knees at any time. If it just is too much, come to the top of the foot. If you ever get a foot cramp, press up into down dog. Again, holding here for as long as is comfortable for you. Coming onto the hands, release, tap the toes. And lift both feet, rotate the ankles. And reverse. And lower. We're going to stay seated and grab a block or a blanket, and we're going to move into our twisting posture. Again, we want to be really mindful of this area. We're not taking that twist down into the abdomen at all. So you're going to take your block or blanket and you're going to place it under one of your sit bones. I'm going to start on my right side. So it's not even because I'm going to turn this left foot up. Okay? So it's only under one sit bone. The other leg can stay like this unless it's just not comfortable. And then you can move this foot around this way. If this isn't comfortable either, you can remove the block and just have both knees bent, feet flat on the floor. So I'm going to come into that first position, moving the calf out of the way if needed. You can take this sitting twist as deep as you want. So if it feels more comfortable to have the foot in front of you, go ahead and do that. If you like it open, go ahead and do that. Left hand is going to come on that right thigh. We're going to make sure the pelvis is positioned, facing forward. Right hand is going to come behind us, reaching. You can take another block behind you or reaching to the floor. Really concentrating this twist from that thoracic area up. So you're focusing that twist mid to upper back, coming up into that cervical spine. Go ahead and take that head all the way over that right shoulder. You're here for as many breaths as you want. You'll exhale to release back to center and switch sides. So tuck that left leg back if that feels good. Shift the block under that left sit bone. Right knee bends with that right foot flat on the floor. Left hand crosses over to that right thigh, but we're still positioned forward. Left hand reaches around for the block or floor, and you're going to compress into this thigh slightly as you twist from here up. Turning that head, looking over the left shoulder. Exhale, release through to center. Again, kind of play around with how it feels more comfortable to sit. It doesn't matter what it looks like. Nobody should be looking at you anyway. And it's really doesn't matter because it's what feels good for you. What is going to help you in these postures, which ultimately is going to keep you healthier and will actually also help you have, hopefully, an easier labor and delivery. Okay, we're going to come into what I call puppy or kneeling dolphin. So back into table. You're going to take the forearms to the floor and you're staying on the knees here. I'm going to turn this way. So the butt is in the air. The chest drops down towards the floor. Your head can stay lifted for now. Again, noticing, is it stretching too much? If it is, you may want to come up slightly onto the palms instead of all the way down to the forearms, or you may want to have the blocks under each forearm like this, so it's not overstretching the front of the body. Holding here for several breaths, and then if it feels okay, you're going to take that forehead down to the block or floor. And it doesn't have to touch. You're just releasing some of that tension and stress from the neck. Inhale, lift the head, come up through table, and we're going to press back to child's pose. Again, what feels good? Do you like having the legs closer or further apart and taking that chest down towards the floor more? Again, depending how far along you are, you may want to come to forearms. You may want to grab a bolster, place it under the belly so that you can rest the chest and the belly is kind of just hanging out. You can rest the head on the chin on your hands. You can turn your head to either side and just really enjoy this stretch. Again, this is a great hip opener, which is going to help you in labor and delivery. So stay here as long as feels good. On the inhale, gently pressing up, and we're going to come into supported Shavasana. So again, the further along you are, it is not recommended to lay flat on the back. You can definitely do Shavasana, but there's a couple ways that you may want to do this while you're pregnant and even postpartum and even after. Sometimes I will do Shavasana in this elevated position because it feels very restorative. So you're going to make your bolsters come into a T formation. So one will go across, and the other one's going to go on top with part of it on the one that's under it, making that T. You're then going to come around to the front. You want your lumbar to be up against that bolster. So again, what feels good for you. Everyone has different mobility. This is another nice hip opener if it does feel okay to come into that nice, easy, or Baddha Konasana posture. Feet are touching. If it's too much, you can place a block under each leg. Again, it takes some of that tension and overstretching out, but you're still allowing that pelvis to open. Gently walking the body back. You want the whole spine and the head to be supported. So if you have two folded blankets, it's also nice to place those under the forearms so that you would be resting like this. Otherwise, arms can just come down all the way to the floor. If it does not feel good to sit in Baddha Konasana, supine Baddha Konasana, then just go ahead and take the feet flat, knees bent, and you can rest here. Hands can be on the belly. They can be extended out beside you. You can also take the legs out straight with a block or bolster under the knees. So there's a lot to play around with in a supported Shavasana. I highly recommend trying them. Try all of them and see what feels best. Some days some might feel really good, and other days you may need to make some adjustments. Staying here as long as is comfortable for you. If you want to lengthen your Shavasana, you can, even though I will be moving forward and ending the practice. Whenever you do decide to come out, you'll start to deepen the breath. Wiggle the fingers and toes. Make small circles with the wrists and ankles. Take the arms overhead for a gentle stretch. And you'll bend the knees, feet flat. Move away any props that might be in the way. And you can roll to one side and press yourself up. If it feels okay, you can kind of rock up, but again, making sure you're not putting strain or stress on the abdomen. So it may feel better to roll over to one side and then press up. You can end your practice in any way that you choose. If you want to end it the way we started, which is just a little bit of centering or doing some focused breathing, you can do that as well. Spine is long, shoulder blades draw back towards one another. Awareness is on the breath. Opening your eyes whenever you are ready. Thank you for joining me today. My headset's a little crazy from laying. Again, like I said, play around with this and make it work for you.